Hyperliquid. It's a word you see and hear a lot in crypto circles these days. And this is to be expected, given that it has been taking market share away from major exchanges, while its hype coin continues to climb the ranks towards the top 10. And everyone is wondering just how much potential Hyperliquid has. Could it become the top exchange in crypto? Could it be the top altcoin that everyone has been looking for? Could Hype flip Sol? Today, we're going to take a look at what Hyperliquid has been up to and find the answers to these questions and more, including how high Hype could go. My name is Nick, and this is a video you cannot afford to miss. First things first. You need to know that nothing in this video is financial advice. It's educational content intended to inform you about Hyperliquid. Also, do note that some members of the Coin Bureau team do hold Hype in their personal crypto portfolios. But of course, we'll be as objective as possible in today's analysis. If you want to know what other cryptos we hold and which ones we're personally considering accumulating, then become a member of the Coin Bureau Club. That's where we do weekly reviews of promising small cap altcoins, provide daily crypto market updates, and real-time crypto alpha in our exclusive members Discord. The link to the Coin Bureau Club can be found in the description. Now, it's been around 6 months since we last covered Hyperliquid, and it's safe to say that a lot has happened since then. Shortly after our last video went live, the Hyperliquid Foundation announced that it would begin buying cryptos as part of its, quote, assistance fund, and chose PER as the first crypto. Now, for context, PER is a cat-themed meme coin that appears to be affiliated with Hyperliquid. We flagged it in our previous Hyperliquid review as a crypto to watch closely, since it was noted in Hyperliquid's documentation. PER's addition to the assistance fund basically confirms that it could have potential. Another thing that Hyperliquid did in January was integrate with a cross protocol, making it easier to bridge USDC into Hyperliquid from other chains. Now, for reference, Hyperliquid does not currently support native USDC, and accounts must be funded by depositing USDC into Hyperliquid's contract on Arbitrum. However, Hyperliquid recently expanded its funding options to include native Bitcoin, native Ethereum, and native Solana, thanks to its integration with a protocol called Unit. A support for more native cryptos is expected to come soon, and it's worth noting that native USDC is also apparently in the works. Anyways, in February this year, Hyperliquid launched its highly anticipated HyperEVM. Now, for those who don't know, Hyperliquid consists of two core components: HyperCore, which powers Hyperliquid's decentralized exchange, and HyperEVM, which is a generalized execution layer for other dApps. Not surprisingly, there's been an explosion in the number of dApps and TVL on Hyperliquid ever since the launch of HyperEVM. What is surprising, though, is that most of these dApps and TVL appear to be related to borrowing, which could be playing a role in supporting Hype's price. More about that a bit later. Now, another thing that Hyperliquid did in February was introduce native multi-sig wallets. For those unfamiliar, multi-sig wallets make it possible to share a wallet with other people. And this makes wallets more secure by requiring multiple signatures for transactions instead of just one. And this is significant because it makes Hyperliquid more appealing to institutions, bridges, custodians, and so on. Now, March, however, was when things got a bit messy for Hyperliquid. First, a trader self-liquidated an ETH long, causing the DEX to experience a $4 million loss. Then, another trader tried to self-liquidate their short of the Jelly token by pumping its price on-chain. According to Abhishek Pawar, the founder and CEO of AP Collective, Hyperliquid could have faced, quote, full liquidation if Jelly's price kept on pumping. And that's when Hyperliquid took the controversial decision to delist Jelly from the DEX, something that was apparently voted on by Hyperliquid's validators. To many, this was proof that Hyperliquid wasn't as decentralized as it claimed, and opened the door to essentially manipulating markets to protect the DEX. In response to the criticism, Hyperliquid decentralized the delisting process, making it possible for validators to vote for any future delistings on-chain. Hyperliquid subsequently decentralized its validator set, something that had actually been in the works since long before the Jelly Saga. As of April, Hyperliquid has 21 validators, with plans to increase the validator set to 60 in the coming months. And as of right now, only 34% of you are subscribed to the channel. So, if you haven't done so already, take a second to subscribe to the channel and ping that notification bell so you don't miss the next video. And of course, if you're enjoying this video, smash that like button while you're at it. Now, fast forward to May, when the crypto market started recovering. Hyperliquid led the charge, and that was because activity on its perpetuals exchange started to go parabolic. To put things into perspective, there was around $5 billion of open interest on Hyperliquid at the start of May. By the end of the month, that figure had ballooned to a staggering $10 billion and currently sits around $8 billion. And this might have something to do with the eye-popping announcements Hyperliquid had throughout the month. First, Tether launched USDT0 on Hyperliquid. At the same time, Layer 0 announced the launch of HyperBridge, making it possible to bridge USDT and half a dozen other cryptos to Hyperliquid. Then, a crypto project on Hyperliquid called HyperDrive announced it would be launching a stablecoin money market. And FYI, Hyperliquid is one of the top chains by stablecoin supply. Shortly after that, Hyperliquid submitted 2 letters of comment to the CFTC, advocating for 24/7 futures trading. Meanwhile, the first ever billion-dollar long position was opened on Hyperliquid, proving that the DEX is, well, liquid. And if you've been keeping up with the headlines, you'll know that the person behind this long position turned out to be James Wynn, who reportedly became rich by investing very early into meme coins. You'll also know that James isn't a very good trader, as many of his Hyperliquid positions were closed at a massive loss. Some have speculated that the purpose of these massive positions was to promote the DEX rather than to make a profit, as well-known personalities like Andrew Tate subsequently did the same. Whatever the reason, the big bets made by James and others made one thing clear, and that's that having fully transparent DEXs might not be the way to go, and that's because it makes it very easy to hunt positions, though many have argued that this is already done on CEXs. Posts by Hyperliquid and its co-founder Jeff Yan that advocated transparency suggest that dark pools won't be coming anytime soon. Whatever the case, earlier this month, decentralized social media platform Farcaster announced support for the HyperEVM, highlighting the fact that Hyperliquid is slowly expanding to new use cases. A few days later, Tether announced that XAUT0 was live on Hyperliquid, bringing the project one step closer to its endgame, which is to be the go-to trading platform for all things crypto and tokenized assets. And this brings me to the moment you've all been waiting for, and that's Hype's price action and potential. I'll start by saying that at the time of shooting, Israel and Iran are at war, so take this analysis with a grain of salt, as it could change for the better or for the worse, especially in the short term. With that said, Hype's recent price action is predictable given the circumstances. It took a tumble back in April because of Trump's tariffs, and its price has been increasing ever since activity on its DEX started increasing in May. Now, to bring you up to speed, a portion of all fees on the Hyperliquid DEX are used to buy back and burn Hype, and it's also used to pay for fees on the HyperEVM, all of which are also burned. In theory, this means that Hype should keep going up and to the right, along with the trading activity on the Hyperliquid DEX and the on-chain activity on the HyperEVM. In practice, however, this doesn't seem to be the case. As you can see, open interest on Hyperliquid is down since May, and the same is true for trading volume and the number of new users, but Hype's price continued to climb during this period. From our perspective, there's 2 possible explanations for this decoupling. The first is speculation. Hype has been one of the top performing cryptos in recent weeks, and this has lots of investors aping in. The second explanation is DeFi leverage, specifically whales borrowing against Hype to buy Hype. If this sounds familiar, that's because we've seen the same kind of activity on other large layer ones like Sui, for example. In Hyperliquid's case, it's much more obvious, but the TVL in its largest borrowing and lending protocols has grown by around $400 million in just the last 30 days, specifically on Hyperlend, Felix, and Morpho. Given this fact, we believe it's possible that Hype whales have been helping support its price action by borrowing against their Hype to buy more Hype. Again, this is not unique to Hyperliquid. It's something that's been done by lots of other crypto whales these days, including with Bitcoin. However, it goes without saying that it's a bit different in Hyperliquid's case, because DeFi leverage isn't the only form of leverage on its chain. There are billions of dollars of leveraged positions on its DEX. In the event of an exogenous shock, such as an escalation between Israel and Iran, there could be a mass liquidation event on the DEX that can't be absorbed by the hyperliquidity provider or HLP vault. Without getting too technical, the HLP is effectively a community-run market maker that operates as the counterparty to trades on the Hyperliquid DEX. The good news is that HLP has seamlessly processed tens of billions of dollars in liquidations in the past. The bad news is that Hyperliquid is much bigger today than it was during the last tariff-induced market shock, and any shocks related to Israel-Iran could be bigger too. And that's why it's possible, keyword possible, that Hype could fall as low as $23 in the short term if there's another escalation in the Israel-Iran conflict that results in mass crypto liquidations that the HLP has difficulty processing. But again, this assumes another significant escalation. In the absence of any further escalation, Hype could experience a standard pullback to around $33 before moving higher. And this begs the question of how high Hype could go in the coming months. And the answer fundamentally depends on how much adoption Hyperliquid gets, particularly its derivatives DEX. Now, to be honest, Hyperliquid could see a lot of adoption, as it offers a user experience comparable to that of CEXs without KYC. In other words, Hyperliquid is analogous to centralized exchanges in the previous cycle. And that's exactly why we stand by our previous prediction, which is that Hype will hit a price of somewhere around $300, and this would give it a market cap of around $100 billion, which is roughly how big Binance's BNB got during the previous cycle. Notably, Hype's price action could come to approximate that of exchange tokens, meaning it goes up and to the right absent any exogenous shocks or hacks, etc., etc. And if you want to trade Hype, then check out the Coin Bureau deals page over in the description or using this QR code. And that's where you'll find sign-up bonuses of up to $100,000, trading fee discounts of up to 50%, and cashbacks on deposits of up to 75% on the best crypto exchanges around. These deals won't be around for long, so take advantage of them ASAP using that link down below or the QR code. Now, whether Hype could rally to $300 ultimately depends on its upcoming milestones. And the main milestone to watch out for is the mainnet implementation of Hyperliquid Improvement Proposal 3, aka HIP3. It was announced back in May and is currently on testnet with the mainnet launch pending. Put simply, HIP3 will make it possible for anyone to launch perpetuals on the Hyperliquid DEX, the same way that anyone can launch tokens on spot DEXs. Now, to mitigate against bad actors, each perpetual pair will require a stake of 1 million Hype that will be slashed if there's any market manipulation. Additional milestones for Hyperliquid can be found in interviews with founder Jeff Yan. Back in April, he noted that Hyperliquid was focused on stablecoins. To refresh your memory, Hyperliquid is one of the largest chains by stablecoin supply and volume, but still doesn't have native USDC or native USDT for that matter. And we suspect this is due to Hyperliquid's relative centralization. Major stablecoin issuers may be hesitant to launch their tokens natively on chains that aren't sufficiently decentralized. Circumstantial evidence for this can be found in the fact that BNB also doesn't have native USDC or USDT either. In case you didn't know, it's believed that Binance co-founder Changpeng Zhao, or CZ, practically controls BNB. Another thing Jeff has mentioned is the possibility that more and more crypto projects will start launching and listing on Hyperliquid in lieu of other DEXs and SEXs. There's just one problem though. And that's that Jeff has said there are only 10 people working on Hyperliquid in an interview in May. And this is consistent with data from Electric Capital's developer dashboard, which notes that Hyperliquid had just 7 monthly active developers. 7. And this explains why Van Eck warned back in January that Hyperliquid needs more developers if it wants to continue growing its ecosystem. This is alarming when you remember that Hyperliquid isn't the only perpetuals exchange out there, and it could soon face extreme competition from DEXs being launched by SEXs. The elephant in the room here is ByReal, the DEX recently announced by Bybit that's expected to launch on Solana sometime in Q3. And it looks like this will be just in time for the SEC's, quote, conditional exemptive relief framework, which would make things like DeFi temporarily legal in the US without restriction. Hyperliquid has been dominating the derivatives DEX space so far, but this could change as bigger players get involved. And this brings me to the challenges that Hyperliquid could face. The first challenge is the one I just mentioned, and that's competition. Bybit might be the first big SEX to announce its launch in a DEX, but you can bet that it won't be the last, and there will be many more when the SEC eases DeFi restrictions. It's hard to see how Hyperliquid will be able to maintain its market dominance in the face of this competition, and the small size of its team makes it seem like it could lose this market dominance faster than you'd expect. SEXs literally have thousands of employees, and Hyperliquid apparently only has 10. And this ties into the second challenge Hyperliquid could face, and that's adoption. As I mentioned earlier, how big Hype gets fundamentally depends on how much adoption its DEX gets. In turn, how much adoption its DEX gets fundamentally depends on how many users there are who already don't have accounts on SEXs that offer perpetual futures and are comfortable using a derivatives DEX. As many have pointed out, Hyperliquid's total addressable market might not be as big as meets the eye, and it's possible that the HyperEVM addition was because the team knows this. In theory, Bybit launching a DEX of its own suggests that the total addressable market is big, but in practice, it could be launching a DEX because the intention is taking this limited market share away from Hyperliquid. And this relates to the third challenge Hyperliquid could face, and that's integrations. As I mentioned earlier, it's possible that stablecoin issuers are hesitant to launch native tokens on Hyperliquid due to the centralization of its chain. However, it's also possible that stablecoin issuers aren't launching native tokens on Hyperliquid because the centralized exchanges they work with don't want them to. After all, it's in the economic interests of the stablecoin issuers that the supply of their stablecoins continues to grow as large as possible. The only reason they would go against these economic interests is if there's some unforeseen risk or because their economic partners are pressuring them to do so. Newsflash, but Hyperliquid is a direct competition to the SEXs, which also use stablecoins for spot and perp trading. With all that said though, these challenges are mostly hypothetical for the time being. Bybit's DEX may not get that much adoption, Hyperliquid's DEX could continue to take market share from SEXs, and its chain will probably continue integrating with popular crypto projects and protocols. This has been the trend over the last few months, and there's no reason to think they will change, World War III notwithstanding. And the same is true for Hype's price action, which has been going up and to the right alongside the Hyperliquid DEX and its ecosystem of dApps. Its recent price action shows demand from fee buybacks and DeFi leverage are an effective combination that could help push Hype higher than most expect. Even though the sustainability of these trends can be questionable, crypto has proven time and time again that the market can remain irrational longer than investors can remain solvent. The fact of the matter is that there are few cryptos with better fundamentals than Hyperliquid. All Hype has been doing is reflecting that fact and will continue to reflect it so long as people continue to speculate in crypto. We reckon that's going to be the case indefinitely, which is why some of us hold Hype in our personal portfolios. Our recent changes at the SEC all but guarantee this, and you can find out about those by watching this video right over here. And if you're not subscribed to the channel yet, you can do that right over here. As always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Nick, out.